returned from a girls' trip and found my suitcases on the curb. A note was taped to the door. Hope he was worth it. I checked my phone, and my heart stopped. My boyfriend had sent screenshots of our messages to my husband and my entire family. I never thought my life would unravel the way it did. My name is Sarah, a 42-year-old woman from Butuan City, Philippines. For over 2 decades, I believed I had built a solid, loving marriage with my husband, Daniel. We had 2 wonderful children, a comfortable home, and a bond that I thought was unbreakable. But life has a way of throwing curveballs when you least expect them. It all began when my closest friends, Lila, Maria, and Sophia, suggested a girls' trip to Cebu City. We hadn't taken a vacation together since our college days at the University of the Philippines, Diliman, and the idea of rekindling our youthful adventures was enticing. Daniel was supportive, encouraging me to take a break and enjoy myself. Little did I know this trip would set off a chain of events that would change my life forever. In Cebu, we stayed at a charming resort in Mactan, basking in the sun and reliving old memories. One evening, while dining at a local restaurant, we met a group of tourists from Manila. Among them was a man named Adrian. He was charismatic, with a smile that could disarm anyone. We struck up a conversation, and I found myself drawn to his wit and charm. It felt innocent at first, a friendly chat over dinner. But as the night progressed, the lines blurred. Adrian and I exchanged numbers, and over the next few days, we kept in touch. Our messages became more frequent, more personal. I knew it was wrong, but I couldn't help myself. There was an excitement, a rush that I hadn't felt in years. We met a couple of times in secret, sharing moments that I now deeply regret. I convinced myself that it was just a fleeting distraction, something that would end once I returned home. Upon returning to Butuan, I was greeted not by the warm embrace of my husband, but by a chilling scene. My suitcases were on the curb, and a note was taped to the door. Hope he was worth it. My heart pounded in my chest as I fumbled for my phone, only to find a barrage of messages and missed calls. Daniel had sent screenshots of my conversations with Adrian to my entire family. The ground seemed to collapse beneath me. The fallout was immediate and devastating. Daniel refused to speak to me, communicating only through his lawyer. Our children, caught in the crossfire, were confused and hurt. Friends and family members reached out, some offering support, others expressing their disappointment. The shame was overwhelming. In the days that followed, I tried to piece together how Daniel had discovered my infidelity. It turned out that Adrian had a vindictive streak. Feeling slighted when I ended our brief affair, he took it upon himself to expose me. He found Daniel's contact information through social media and sent him the incriminating messages. The betrayal cut deep, not just from Adrian, but from my own actions. I moved into a small apartment in the city, away from the home Daniel and I had built together. Nights were the hardest, filled with regret and self-recrimination. I sought therapy, hoping to understand why I had jeopardized everything for a fleeting thrill. The therapist helped me uncover feelings of stagnation and unfulfillment that I hadn't even been aware of. But understanding my motivations didn't absolve me of the pain I had caused. Daniel filed for divorce, and the proceedings were as painful as one might expect. We divided our assets, and I fought for joint custody of our children. Explaining my actions to them was the most heart-wrenching experience of all. They deserved honesty, and I gave it to them no matter how much it hurt. Months passed, and the wounds began to scab over, though the scars remained. I focused on rebuilding my life, throwing myself into my work and trying to mend the relationships I had damaged. Trust, once broken, is not easily regained. Daniel and I found a semblance of civility, communicating for the sake of our children. But the love we once shared was irreparably shattered. Reflecting on this chapter of my life, I am reminded of the fragility of trust and the devastating consequences of momentary lapses in judgment. Temptation is a powerful force, but the aftermath of giving into it can be catastrophic. I share my story not for sympathy, but as a cautionary tale. Cherish the bonds you have, nurture them, and think twice before letting fleeting desires dictate your actions. The cost is simply too high. So there I was, sitting in my car, engine running, staring at my own house like it was a crime scene. Suitcases on the curb, that damn note on the door. Hope he was worth it. I couldn't even breathe right. My hands were shaking. I was afraid to even get out of the car. I kept thinking maybe it was a prank, a sick joke. Maybe Daniel would open the door, laugh it off, say something like, "Gotcha." But the silence, it was heavy. Real. I finally got out, walked up, grabbed the note. The tape tore the paint off the door. I looked around. Our neighbors were home. I could feel their eyes. The Andersons across the street had their curtains pulled halfway, just enough to peek. I shoved the note into my purse and grabbed my suitcases, wheeling them to the car like a thief. My phone buzzed. I didn't want to look, but I did. Daniel had sent a group message. It was addressed to me, his sister, his parents, my mom, my dad, my 2 brothers, and for some reason, my boss. My damn boss. He wrote, "I'm done. Sarah's been cheating on me. See the screenshots." There were pages of screenshots. Every dirty message I sent to Adrian. Every flirty selfie. Even the one from the hotel room, Jesus. I forgot I even sent that one. I felt like I was watching my life explode from outside my body. I drove to the nearest parking lot and just sat there. I didn't even cry. I was numb. I reread everything. He even circled my messages like he was highlighting mistakes in a paper. "Look here, this is from the night she said she was sick. Here's her hotel room. Notice the towel in the background. Not from our house." I called him. Straight to voicemail. I texted, "Daniel, please. We need to talk." Nothing. That night, I slept in a motel off the interstate. Stains on the sheets. Something smelled like cigarettes and mold. I stared at the ceiling all night. I kept refreshing my inbox, dreading the responses. By morning, the group chat had blown up. My mom, Sarah. "Tell me this isn't true." His sister. "You disgust me." My boss. "We'll need to meet Monday. HR will be involved." Yeah. Apparently one of the messages I sent to Adrian was during work hours. I was screwed from all angles. A few days later, my daughter Emma. She's 16, texted me, "I'm staying with Dad." That broke me. I tried to reach out to her. She blocked me. My son, Matthew, 12, didn't say anything. Just silence. I kept thinking maybe if I explained it all, they'd understand. That I wasn't happy. That Daniel hadn't really looked at me in years. That I felt invisible. That Adrian made me feel seen. But how do you say that without sounding selfish? The real twist came a week later. I was still living in that grimy motel, trying to find a place to rent when I got a message from a random number. "You should know, you weren't the only one." See, I froze. See? Who the hell was C? Then another message came in. Adrian was with my sister too. "While he was texting you." I stared at the screen, mouth open. I called the number. It rang once, then went to voicemail. No name. Just some woman's voice. I dug through Adrian's old messages, piecing together details I missed the first time. I saw it now. He reused compliments. He sent the same selfie. The same line about missing your energy. I was played. Worse than I thought. Not only did I cheat and destroy my marriage, but I got played by a man-child with a copy-paste game. I confronted him. Texted, "You told me I was special. You used me." He replied with a laughing emoji and said, "You were fun. Not my fault you thought it meant something." That was it. I snapped. But that's not where it ends. It got worse. Way worse. After Adrian's smug little reply, I threw my phone across the motel room. It hit the wall and bounced off the cheap nightstand. The screen cracked. I didn't care. I felt used. Filthy. And stupid. Like I was the last to know some terrible joke. But I still wasn't ready for what came next. That weekend, I drove back to my old neighborhood. I told myself I just wanted to see the kids. Maybe get 5 minutes to explain. I parked 3 houses down, didn't want to be seen. Sat in the car watching the house I used to live in. The porch light was on. Daniel's truck in the driveway. Familiar, normal, until someone else walked out the front door. It wasn't Emma or Matthew. It was a woman. She was holding a grocery bag, wearing Daniel's old hoodie, and she kissed him on the cheek before walking to her car. I froze. I took a picture. My hands were shaking again. I zoomed in. Blonde hair. Probably early 30s. I'd never seen her before. Not a neighbor. I sat there, watching like a fool, hoping for something, anything, that made it look innocent. But it wasn't. She came back the next night. And the next. And I realized he had someone too. And not recently. She was too comfortable, too familiar. I wasn't just the one who cheated. He had been seeing her too. The twist? I found out later it had been going on for over a year. Her name was Rachel. She was a nurse at the clinic where Daniel volunteered part-time. They met during a blood drive. I remembered that week Daniel was working late. I never questioned it. I guess I was too busy scrolling through Adrian's messages to notice my own husband was falling for someone else. So, there we were. Both cheaters. Both liars. But only I got burned at the stake. Only my phone blew up. Only my boss threatened to fire me. Only my kids cut me off. I felt sick. I messaged him. So this is about punishing me? Not love. No response. I sent the photo of him and Rachel. He replied the next morning. Don't you dare try to flip this. You chose Adrian. I had to find comfort somewhere after you stopped seeing me. Stopped seeing him? That was rich. I begged him for date nights for months. He said he was tired. He said I was being needy. He pulled away first. I filled the space he left. But no one wants to hear that when a woman cheats first. Here's where things got darker. Rachel was pregnant. I found out from a mutual friend who worked at the clinic. She let it slip during a drunk Facebook message. Guess you're getting a new stepmom for Emma and Matt. Rachel's due in January. That message knocked the breath out of me. Daniel hadn't told the kids. He was waiting. Probably planning some perfect little announcement over dinner, complete with a sonogram photo. Meanwhile, I was living out of a suitcase and begging my daughter just to text me back. I wanted to confront him, scream, throw it all out in the open. But I didn't. Instead, I went back to the motel, opened a blank document, and started writing everything down. Every lie, every text, every date I remembered. I started collecting screenshots, not to hurt him, but to protect myself. Because I had this feeling. A gut instinct. He was going to try to make me the villain forever. But the next twist? Oh, it came from left field. Someone knocked on my motel door around 10:30 p.m. I wasn't expecting anyone. I peeked through the curtain and saw Adrian's ex. Yeah, the C who texted me earlier? Her name was Clarissa. And she had her own screenshots. Photos. Voice messages. A timeline. She wanted to take Adrian down too. I let her in. We sat on the bed like 2 battle-scarred soldiers comparing wounds. And what she told me made my stomach turn. Adrian had done this before. Multiple times. Married women. Divorced women. Women with money. He would flirt, seduce, collect proof, and then threaten exposure if they tried to cut him off. It was a game to him. He never cared. He wanted control. And the worst part? Clarissa said he sometimes sold the screenshots. To blogs. To sketchy websites that ran cheater exposés. I went online. Dug around. And there it was. A blurred-out version of my messages. My photo. My face. With the caption, "Wife goes wild on girls' trip. Regrets it." I almost vomited. Once I saw my blurred-out messages and face on that trashy cheater blog, something in me snapped. This wasn't just a mistake anymore. This was war. I contacted a lawyer, not to go after Daniel, but Adrian. Turns out I had a case. Revenge porn. Defamation. He'd exposed private messages, my identity, and cost me my job. My boss finally let me go the day after the site posted the article, saying it was a bad look for the company. The next few weeks were a blur of meetings, documents, and Clarissa and I building a timeline. We were from opposite worlds, but now we had one shared mission: take Adrian down. But while that was going on, something unexpected happened. Emma called me. She didn't say hi. She didn't even give me a chance to ask how she was. She just said, "Dad's having a baby with Rachel." He didn't even tell us. We heard it from Aunt Lily. I hate him. Then she hung up. I sat on the edge of the motel bed, stunned. I felt nothing at first. Then everything all at once. Guilt. Rage. Confusion. My daughter, my baby, hated both of us now. Her dad for lying. Me for breaking the home. And I didn't even blame her. Then I got an idea. I decided to call a family meeting. I invited everyone. Daniel, Emma, Matthew, my parents, his sister. We met in a community center. Neutral ground. No one could slam doors or throw things. It felt like sitting on a grenade. Everyone showed up. Daniel came in last, hand on Rachel's back, her belly already showing. Emma sat away from both of us, arms crossed. Matthew just looked lost. I stood in the front of the room. Clarissa sat beside me, not saying anything, but her phone recording. Just in case. I started slow. "I'm not here to beg for forgiveness," I said. "I cheated. I lied. And I hurt all of you." Daniel rolled his eyes. But I wasn't the only one. I turned to Rachel. "Would you like to explain how long you've been sleeping with my husband?" Rachel froze. Daniel stood up, defensive. "Don't twist this," he snapped. "We didn't do anything until after. I have messages. Dates. You were with her months before I even met Adrian." Gasps. Whispers. My mother's hand flew to her chest. "And Adrian?" I said. "He's a scam artist. He's extorted women, ruined lives. He leaked my messages. My job's gone. I have a lawsuit pending. I didn't just cheat. I got played." I pulled out a printout of the blog page and threw it on the table. Rachel looked down. Emma covered her mouth. Daniel went pale. Clarissa finally spoke. "And he's done this to me and 4 other women. We're filing a case together." Then everything exploded. Daniel stood up, yelling that this wasn't the time or place. My dad told him to sit down and be a man for once. His sister called Rachel a home-wrecking nurse with no conscience. Rachel cried. Emma ran out. Matthew just started sobbing. And I stood there, alone in the eye of a storm I helped create. The aftermath was brutal. Daniel stopped responding to my emails. He blocked me. Rachel moved in. Emma decided to stay with my mom. Matthew went quiet. It took weeks before he texted back a simple hi. The case against Adrian is still ongoing. He's trying to scrub the blog, deny it all. But we've got evidence. Clarissa's not backing down. Neither am I. I found a small apartment and started working remote admin jobs. Quiet, under the radar. I go to therapy every week. Not to fix the past. It's shattered, but to understand it. To make sure I don't destroy the next thing I build. Do I still love Daniel? I don't know. Do I regret what I did? Every single day. But I also regret staying silent when things first started to rot. I regret not fighting harder for myself before I made the worst decision of my life. Emma still doesn't talk to me much. But on my birthday, she sent a photo of her and Matthew eating cake. No caption. But it was something. I'm not sure where this all goes from here. Maybe I'll stay alone. Maybe I'll build a new version of myself. All I know is, I don't want to be that woman again. The one who smiled on the outside and crumbled inside. The one who waited to be noticed instead of standing up. Sometimes people see your worst chapter and think it's your whole story. But I'm still writing mine.